Artistic expression. The artistic expression of Americans is as diverse as the people who live in America. Two famous American artists who believed that art belonged to the people are featured in this article. Norman Rockwell, whose work represented life in America, and Andy Warhol, who sparked a revolution in art during the 1960s. Norman Rockwell is most famous for the cover illustrations he created for the Saturday Evening Post magazine. In 1943, during the Second World War, Rockwell painted the For Freedom series. The work was inspired by a speech by Franklin D. Roosevelt, who had declared that there were four principles for universal rights: freedom from want, freedom of speech, freedom to worship, and freedom from fear. Rockwell considered freedom of speech to be the best of the four. Norman Rockwell was very prolific and produced over 4,000 original works, most of which have been either destroyed by fire or are in permanent collections. Original magazines in mint condition that contain his work are rare and are worth thousands of dollars. Andy Warhol was an American artist associated with the definition of pop art. Warhol was a painter, a commercial illustrator, an avant-garde filmmaker, music industry producer, writer, and celebrity. Warhol studied commercial art at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh. He showed an early artistic talent. He moved to New York City in 1949 and began a career in advertising and magazine illustration. During the 1960s, Warhol began to make paintings of famous American products such as Campbell's soup cans and Coca-Cola, as well as paintings of celebrities like Marilyn Monroe. Warhol sparked a revolution in art. His work quickly became very controversial and popular. Warhol became one of the most famous American artists of the day. The birthplace of Broadway. New York City is the birthplace of Broadway, which began in the early 1900s, characterized by simplicity and charm. Broadway soon became the cultural center of New York. The theater district fascinated large groups of middle-class people in search of music, excitement, and romance. The best seats in the house cost only $2. The relationship between audience and actors was lively and high-spirited. Audiences became caught up in the plays, talking to the actors, hissing and booing or clapping and cheering. To escape the reality of World War II, many used Broadway plays as an entertaining getaway. However, the Broadway community became especially active in assisting the war effort. The play Yip, Yip, Yafank at the Century Theater helped raise money for war relief. After World War II ended, Times Square was filled with crowds of enthusiastic citizens carrying flags and celebrating. Since that day, Times Square has continued as a gathering place for the people of New York City. Broadway reached its prime during the 1920s. Fresh ideas and hope filled the theater. Lawrence Langner, organizer of the Theater Guild, helped Broadway become a dazzling performing arts center that influenced the theater of the world. After the stock market crash of 1929 and the Great Depression, Broadway plunged. The number of productions declined and put many theater people out of work. Ironically, this became a creative period. Established writers organized themselves into the Playwrights Company and continued to write interesting plays that were concerned with the state of affairs in America. Many off-Broadway theaters now included dramas of social protest, using the slogan "theater as a weapon." Many playwrights used the theaters to make social commentary. Broadway began to compete with television and movies during the 1940s. Most theaters on Broadway were being turned into film houses. Movies were beginning to take over the entertainment business. Also, by this time, television was becoming a competitor. Television was providing the public with free entertainment. In the 1950s, Broadway had become less of an industry and more of a loose array of individuals. This period in America was one of increasing intolerance and political persecution, but Broadway was not afraid to express nonconformist opinions. Broadway did not fear the government. Although Broadway theater had lost some of its range, it still retained its liveliness and joyfulness. In a country that now required conventionality, Broadway held on to a sense of freedom of speech and action. These were the ideals on which the nation was founded. Many memorable musicals emerged in 1950 to 1970. Some of these included West Side Story, My Fair Lady, The Sound of Music, Fiddler on the Roof, Man of La Mancha, and Hair. Modern-day Broadway is alive and well, and Broadway theater is considered the most prestigious form of professional theater in the United States, as well as the most well-known to the general public. Seeing a Broadway show is a popular tourist activity in New York. Some ticket booths sell same-day tickets for many Broadway shows at half price. This service helps sell seats that would otherwise go empty and makes seeing a show in New York more affordable. Many theaters also offer special student rates, same-day rush tickets, or standing-room tickets to help ensure that their theaters are full. Theaters all across America produce off-Broadway and original plays, musicals, and dance productions. American theater offers a diverse range of entertainment. With many themes to choose from, you are certain to find a show that interests you. Cultural values. If you ask Americans what the cultural values in the U.S. are, you might receive blank stares and little or no response. In a society as diverse as the United States, there is likely to be a multitude of answers. American culture has been enriched by the values and belief systems of almost every part of the world. A few select values are at the core of the American value system. Individual freedom. One value that nearly every American would agree upon is individual freedom. Whether you call it individual freedom or independence, it is the cornerstone of American values. The concept of an individual having control over his own destiny influenced the type of government that was established here. Individual rights are guaranteed in the United States Constitution. While our economic system may be dominated by large corporations, the majority of American businesses are small and many are owned by an individual or a family. It is part of the American dream to be your own boss. Being an entrepreneur is one of the most appealing ways to improve one's economic future. Choice in education. Education is regarded as the key to opportunity, including financial security. Americans take a pragmatic approach to learning. What one learns outside the classroom through internship and extracurricular activities is often considered as important as what is learned in the classroom. Lifelong learning is valued, which is why you will find many adult and continuing education programs. The belief that Americans should be all that you can be emanates from our Protestant heritage. Since the majority of the early settlers were Protestant, they believed that they had a responsibility to improve themselves, to be the best they could be, to develop their talents, and to help their neighbors. The family. The main purpose of the American family is to bring about the happiness of each individual family member. The traditional family values include love and respect for parents as well as for all members of the family. The emphasis on the individual and his right to happiness can be confusing. It allows children to disagree, even argue with their parents. While in most other cultures such action would be a sign of disrespect, that is not the case in the United States. It is considered a part of developing one's independence. Privacy is important to Americans. The notion of individual privacy may make it difficult to make friends. Because Americans respect one's privacy, they may not go beyond a friendly hello. The rugged individualism valued by most Americans stems from our frontier heritage. Early settlers had to be self-sufficient, which forced them to be inventive. Their success gave them optimism about the future, a belief that problems could be solved. This positive spirit enables Americans to take risks in areas where others might only dream. This results in tremendous advances in technology, health, and science. In addition to such basic American values as individual freedom, self-reliance, equality of opportunity, hard work, material wealth, and competition, we see a trend toward conservation. There is an emphasis on recycling and preserving the environment. Also, there is a greater sensitivity to cooperation on a global scale. No matter what changes the next century brings or whether you agree with American values, the opportunity to live in the United States is an experience well worth the effort. Camping trips. There are several opportunities and options for camping throughout the United States and several different types of camping to choose from. The type of camping you choose depends on your interests and your level of experience. The different options include car camping at full-facility campgrounds, backcountry camping with limited facilities, and wilderness camping with no facilities at all, and you must carry out everything you carry in. Many of the U.S. national parks with campgrounds that accept reservations are part of the National Park Reservation Service. The official site for the National Park Service where you can make reservations is www.reservations.nps.gov. If you prefer backcountry camping, the website www.recreation.gov offers complete information and reservations. If you are going camping at a campground, here are some things to consider and questions to ask when making reservations. What facilities are available, such as water and power hookups, bathrooms, showers, picnic tables, and grills? What is the maximum number of people and vehicles permitted per campsite? Is there a limit on the number of days or consecutive days you can camp at a park? Are there other restrictions on length of stay? What are the restrictions regarding pets in the campground? Whatever type of camping you choose, please help preserve the beauty of the great outdoors for yourself and generations to come by camping responsibly. Rafting. The Grand Canyon. When most people think of the Grand Canyon, they think of peering over the rim and admiring the beauty from up above. But what about being in the canyon and looking up? The Grand Canyon is one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, and a trip down the Colorado River allows you to experience the beauty and ruggedness from the heart of the canyon. Over the course of 250 miles, the river runs through unruly rapids, making for a wilder ride than you're likely to find on dry land. A river trip down the Grand Canyon ranges from navigating through world-class rapids to swimming in the side canyons and hiking through remote areas not seen by most travelers. On this once-in-a-lifetime adventure, you will experience astounding views of hidden waterfalls and you will discover ancient Indian ruins. The diversity of Grand Canyon's scenery is matched by the surprising diversity of its plant and animal life. There are 287 species of birds in the Grand Canyon, 88 species of mammals, 26 species of fish, and 58 species of reptiles and amphibians. A guide for your rafting trip is highly recommended and required in some parts of the river. There are several tour companies that book weekend or week-long trips. Some tours provide special interest trips including history, geology, and photography tour. Down by the boardwalk. The boardwalks of American beaches are major tourist attractions. The first boardwalks were built in New Jersey in the late 1800s. They were originally designed as walkways so beachgoers could stroll along the shore without tracking sand into the hotel lobbies. Today's boardwalks have something for everyone. Arcades, carnival rides, clothing boutiques, gourmet candy shops, restaurants, and nightclubs. From sunup to sundown, boardwalks are packed with people of all ages, making the most of their summertime fun. The boardwalk is a true American beach tradition. We celebrate the boardwalk with a list of the best America has to offer. Atlantic City is the largest of New Jersey's boardwalks, and it is where it all started in 1870. Atlantic City has become more famous for its casinos in recent years, but the boardwalk is still packed in the summer with locals and tourists alike. A family-friendly boardwalk can be found in Ocean City. This popular promenade runs beside beautiful wide sand beaches. The boardwalk has a Victorian feel, reminiscent of the seaside resorts that once populated the mid-Atlantic coast. At all of the New Jersey coast towns, you will find fresh saltwater taffy being made at family-owned shops. Saltwater taffy is another beachside tradition that started in New Jersey. The West Coast is not as well known for its boardwalks, but Santa Cruz, California has a seaside amusement park that is one of the best in the nation. It is California's oldest amusement park and the only major seaside amusement park on the Pacific coast. Here you will find a wonderful blend of old and new carnival rides. The Louvre Carousel and the Giant Dipper roller coaster are National Historic Landmarks. Virginia Beach's famous oceanfront boardwalk has been named by many the most beautiful boardwalk in the country. Its popular 3-mile walkway recently been updated. There is also a bike path that runs alongside the boardwalk, making it popular for bikes, skateboards, and rollerblades. Concerts are a big attraction here at one of the 3 oceanfront stages. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina was nearly empty of boardwalk attractions 20 years ago. Since that time, an enormous growth of shops, amusement parks, theaters, and restaurants has transformed the boardwalk at Myrtle Beach into a major tourist center. In addition to the usual boardwalk fare, Myrtle Beach also boasts an aquarium and an IMAX theater. A wonderful new addition to Myrtle Beach is a glass butterfly pavilion. Ocean City, Maryland is home to a famous boardwalk that buzzes with activity. You will find activities and events that appeal to all ages. 10 miles of white sand beaches and 3 miles of world-famous boardwalk make Ocean City picture perfect. From the tiny train that chugs along the 3-mile promenade to the antique carousel that dates back to 1902, Ocean City has kept its sense of a bygone era while keeping its attractions fresh. Treasure Islands. The islands of Hawaii have long been considered the treasure of the United States. Gorgeous sandy beaches, spectacular sunsets, and breathtaking beauty, it is no surprise that Hawaii is one of the most popular vacation spots in the U.S. Oahu, Maui, Kauai, and the Big Island are the 4 most popular islands. Each island is packed full of as much beauty as diversity. You will find perfect beaches on each island, but depending on your destination, you may also see miles of barren lava flow, museums, and even skiing on a snow-peaked mountain, Oahu. Oahu is often the landing spot for most visitors and home to the largest city in the state, Honolulu. Oahu is probably best known for the city and beaches of Waikiki. Waikiki hums with activity. Here you can do more than just experience the outdoor activities of the islands. It is well worth your time to visit Pearl Harbor and the Polynesian Cultural Center, and you must visit the north shore of Oahu for world-famous surf. Maui, relaxed and friendly, Maui is home to some of the most beautiful resorts and gorgeous sandy beaches in the world. Activities are spread across the entire island, and you can easily find something different to do every day. Bicycling down a volcano, shopping in historic Lahaina town, world-class golf, snorkeling in a lovely cove, or camping in a tropical rainforest. The island of Maui has a lot to offer for all ages. Kauai, known also as the Garden Isle, Kauai is considered by many to be the most beautiful of the islands. Poipu Beach is consistently voted one of the prettiest beaches in the world. Lush tropical rainforests compete for your attention with dramatic canyons and coastline. You won't find a great deal of nightlife here, but your time will be best spent hiking, exploring, and kayaking during the day. Kauai is one of the wettest spots on Earth, with an annual average rainfall of 460 inches. The high annual rainfall has eroded deep valleys in the central mountain, carving out canyons and creating the many scenic waterfalls, the Big Island. Larger than all the other islands combined, the Big Island of Hawaii is a remarkable contrast of geography and climates. Tropical forests with beautiful waterfalls on one side, stark lava beds on the other. The landscape is dominated by mountains, particularly the twin peaks of Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa. Mauna Kea is the only place in Hawaii where you can strap on skis and hit the slopes. If you can't make up your mind about which island to visit, you can take an island hopping cruise. Norwegian Cruise Line has 7-day itineraries visiting Oahu, Maui, Kauai, and the Big Island. By land or sea, Hawaii is a great place for your next vacation. The first national park. The national parks in the United States offer more than just outdoor recreation. They offer a chance to learn about our nation's diverse history, geography, and culture. The first official national park of the United States was California's Yosemite National Park. Inspired by the beauty of Yosemite and worried about the possible exploitation of Yosemite's natural wonders, conservationists appealed to Senator John Conness to help protect the park. On June 30, 1864, President Abraham Lincoln signed a bill granting Yosemite Valley and the Mariposa Grove of giant sequoias to the state of California as an inalienable public trust. This was the first time in history that a federal government had set aside scenic lands to protect them and to allow for their enjoyment by all people. This idea was the spark that made Yosemite the first official national park in 1890. Yosemite National Park is best known for its waterfalls, but within its nearly 1,200 square miles you will find an abundance of wildlife, spectacular scenery, and vast wilderness to explore. The best time to see waterfalls is during spring, when most of the snowmelt occurs. Yosemite Falls is one of the world's tallest and is made up of 3 separate falls: Upper Yosemite Fall 1,430 feet, the Middle Cascade 675 feet, and Lower Yosemite Fall 320 feet. Another popular waterfall, Bridal Veil, flows all year and you can walk to the base in just a few minutes. Ancient giant sequoias can be found in the Mariposa Grove. The Mariposa Grove is the largest group of giant sequoias in Yosemite. The General Sherman, a giant sequoia, is generally considered to be the largest tree in the world. This tree is located in Sequoia National Park, just south of Yosemite. 2 famous rock formations in Yellowstone are Half Dome and El Capitan. Half Dome is perhaps the most recognized symbol of Yosemite. Rising nearly 5,000 feet above the valley floor, some people attempt the treacherous hike or rock climb to the top. Experienced rock climbers enjoy El Capitan. It rises more than 3,000 feet above the valley floor and is the largest monolith of granite in the world. Yosemite National Park is home to hundreds of American black bears. These bears are very curious and have an amazing sense of smell. Most bears that rely on natural food sources are active during the day. However, when hungry, they quietly sneak around and grab unattended food at night. Precautions and information on bear safety can be found at nature centers in the park. You don't need reservations to visit Yosemite National Park, but reservations to stay overnight in the park are mandatory. Lodging options in Yosemite National Park range from simple cabins to deluxe rooms at the Ahwahnee Hotel. Camping is the most popular way to spend the night in Yosemite National Park. There are 13 campgrounds located throughout the park and reservations are necessary for most locations. Information and reservations for Yosemite, as well as every national park in the United States, can be found online at www.nps.gov. A walking tour of D.C. When most people think of a trip to Washington, D.C., they think of visiting the White House. A trip to the White House is an experience of a lifetime, however, it can be very hard to arrange. You must have a group of 10 or more people and make your arrangements through your member of Congress. This requires extensive planning well ahead of time. It is, of course, well worth the effort if you are successful. Besides the White House, Washington, D.C. is packed full of interesting, historical, and educational places to visit. Taking a self-guided tour of the national monuments is a great way to explore the city while learning about the history, government, and people of the United States. The Washington Monument. The most prominent landmark in Washington, D.C. is the Washington Monument. It stands 555 feet tall. An elevator takes visitors to the 500-foot landing for magnificent views of the city. A unique feature of the Washington Monument is the 193 carved memorial stones that line the interior of the monument. These stones pay tribute to the achievements of George Washington. The Lincoln Memorial. The Lincoln Memorial honors Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. The memorial symbolizes Lincoln's belief that all people should be free. The chamber inside the memorial contains a statue of Lincoln. The chamber also houses two stone tables, one engraved with Lincoln's second inaugural address and the other with the Gettysburg Address, the Jefferson Memorial. The Jefferson Memorial honors Thomas Jefferson, author of the Declaration of Independence, first Secretary of State, and third President. The structure of the building is based on the classic style of architecture Jefferson introduced into this country. In the center of the memorial is a statue of Jefferson. On the walls are for inscriptions. They describe his belief in freedom and education. Vietnam Veterans Memorial. The Vietnam Veterans Memorial honors the men and women who served in the Vietnam War. The memorial consists of 3 parts: the Wall of Names, the 3 servicemen statue and flagpole, and the Vietnam Women's Memorial. The memorial wall contains the names of the 58,220 men and women who were killed and remain missing from the war. Korean War Veterans Memorial. The Korean War Veterans Memorial is a reminder of the Korean War and the sacrifices and hardships of those who fought in this war. This memorial consists of a platoon of stainless steel soldiers. Engraved on a nearby wall are the total casualties of both the United States and the United Nations troops, along with the words "Freedom is not free." National World War II Memorial. The National World War II Memorial is a national memorial to Americans who served and died in World War II. The design of the National World War II Memorial incorporates many symbolic elements representing unity, sacrifice, victory, and freedom. United States Marine Corps Memorial. The Marine Corps War Memorial is a symbol of America's gratitude to the U.S. Marines who died in combat. The statue portrays one of the most famous events of World War II, the U.S. victory of Iwo Jima. The Tomb of the Unknowns. The Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is located at Arlington National Cemetery. It was constructed to mark the grave of an unidentified American soldier from World War I. 3 Greek figures are engraved into the marble and represent peace, victory, and valor. On the back of the tomb is the following inscription: "Here rests in honored glory an American soldier known but to God."
Recuerda suscribirte al canal y darle like al video. Y recuerda que es fácil aprender inglés, es fácil hablarlo, es lo más fácil que puedes aprender si sigues viendo estos videos.